Hey guys, it's Dave. I'm coming to you from the Hobo Dojo. It's a rainy day in May, and I just want to talk to you guys, explain to you why I've been a little spotty in terms of posting things. I've had a lot of technical issues going on here. I had a webcam die, and then I looked around for one. I found a friend that was selling one out in the San Fernando Valley. I bought that from him, and it was an older model of a Logitech webcam, and it wouldn't work very well. It wasn't good enough quality, so I set that aside. I'll keep that around for a spare, I suppose. Then I borrowed one from Jason. Now, I've been accustomed to using a Logitech C920, and I borrowed a C922 Pro Stream from Jason. Wouldn't work with the software I use. Downloaded another kind of software, and then that software, everything that I recorded from that software had these artifacts to it when I moved it over into DaVinci Resolve, which is where I edit my videos. And you remember seeing that little flashing thing that said video not available, and also that had or video offline or media offline, something like that, a little like a red flashing warning sign. A lot of you commented on that one video. Plus the sound was horrible. I figured out what the sound was because on that thing there was a sound output setting that I had up full blast and didn't know it was in there because it's not offered on the other software I'm used to using. So I'm having nothing but trouble. I can't, one camera doesn't seem to work properly. So I've got this thing going and went back to the old Logitech software, and now it won't work at all. So it just goes 1, 2, you hit record and it goes 1, 2, 3, and then it goes right back to standby, which is a problem I used to have. So virtually every video I've ever made with this thing, I've had to at some point stop and reload the software. So it's just, I've got to get to something else. I've got to learn to use one of these third-party recording softwares like all the gamers use, like OSB, is that what they call it? So eventually I'll get this straightened out. But for right now, I'm using Zoom because Zoom seems to be the only trouble-free thing I know about. And I found out this morning I can do it without having just a meeting with myself. So that's what I'm doing. I'm having a meeting with myself and you guys. So enough of this long ramble about my technical issues. I'm here in the Hobo Dojo, as you know. The Hobo Dojo is a 32-foot Holiday Rambler vintage motorhome from 1992. I don't move this thing. It stays put. This is just my little apartment. But I am in the market for another one that I am going to travel around in. I'm going to start traveling the country a lot if I can find the right motorhome. And the one I'm looking for, a very specific motorhome. I'm looking for a Lazy Days 26.5 foot Class C on a Ford chassis. I think all the Lazy Days are on a Ford chassis. And I need it to be about 2005 or newer because I got to keep the mileage down. But primarily, I need one of the newer engines so that the gas mileage will be acceptable because they're big engines, V10s, I think. But this particular one has the van front end, and I find those a lot easier to drive. I just relate to those a lot better. This one is like driving a freaking school bus, and it's just difficult to deal with. So I'm looking for one that has the rear living room. It's got 3 sides, windows on 3 sides, and 2 couches that fold down in a California king-size bed. So this is a really cool one, and I can use that back area as I go on the road, if I want to do a little podcast with some interesting person that I meet along the way, or if I want to go to the city to make it convenient for me to interview somebody that I want to interview, I can go there. And I can use the motorhome itself as a little mini studio with natural lighting, and you could see a view outside. I think it'd be a really cool thing. So that's the one I'm looking for. I'm not going to settle for anything less. They're really good quality motorhomes, but they're very hard to find. So if anybody knows where I can find a Lazy Days 26.5 foot, 2005 or newer with the rear living room, give me a shout. Hopefully within several hundred miles of where I live here in the Los Angeles area. This back there in the back, where I'm pointing to right now, is a little blue 1984 made in Japan Squire Fender Fender Squire Stratocaster. It doesn't have the bottom cut off. They have this little arm cut there, and that's in full shadow now. It makes it look a little bit odd, but it's a fully functional guitar. It was given to me after a gig one night by a friend who was appreciative because he wooed his now wife by coming to some of our shows. I guess their first date was at one of my concerts, and he introduced us, and I made a little bit of a fuss over him, as a friend would do for another friend, and I think I got him off on the right foot with her a little bit. So he gave me this guitar as a token of appreciation, and I just talked to him recently. I pulled this out yesterday because I was having one of those things. There's this thing called gear acquisition syndrome, otherwise known as gas. And that's what guys just have a compulsion to buy gear they don't really need. I do have a little touch of that when it comes to guitars because they are awfully pretty, aren't they? And, you think you want to, it's like, I need a little variety. That'll enliven my playing. It never works. You buy a guitar and now you just got one extra guitar around. But I was having that feeling the other day, very, very close to, I was going back and forth between a couple of different guitars, but I was settling in on this sparkle red Squire Telecaster that is so cool looking. I think it would look wonderful on stage. Maybe I'll buy it someday when I've got extra money, but I was being silly and I was about to I was just about to pull the trigger on that one. And I said, yeah, get a grip, Dave. Pull out this other guitar, play it for a while. It's been under my bed for a while. So I pulled it out. And it's a beautiful guitar. I know some of you guys play. I won't talk anymore about guitars. I really wanted to touch bases because I'm feeling very depressed lately, and I'm feeling it's very difficult for me, aside from the technical issues I've been having. I'm having technical issues with my own mind. I am an interactive organism, and I need other human beings to interact with in order to remain interested enough in other human beings to bother writing essays and editing them into a form that will read well. There's a lot of work that goes into the writing that I do, and it's very difficult then when you write a piece and it's maybe 2,000 words long, because once I get started, it's hard for me to stop. The ideas are rolling. So it's easier to write a long piece than a short one, but it's easier to read a short one, and it's easier to read one with shorter sentences, and there's ways in which you have to edit it to sound a little more like speech. And I'm not particularly good off the top of my head just talking like I am now, as you can probably tell. This is not my great gift, coffee, to just talk off the top of my head. So I have to script these things, as you all know. There's a lot of work that goes into that. So to hunker down and be willing to do the work of writing it, and then to do the work of rewriting it, which usually takes me 6 or 8 rewrites. I think things through it, I sleep on it, and I come back to it and I change it around. Oftentimes I start all over again. And you need to really be interested. You need to be really interested in life and in getting the ideas out, and have some sense that there's some reason to be making this video. There's a reason to be writing this piece there, that somebody out there will in some way benefit from the way that I'm putting the ideas together, or at least enjoy it. And lately, it's just been one topic for over 2 months now, and I've been locked up here. I go out, but there's nobody to visit. There's no place where people are gathered. And so except for the very, very few people with whom I have agreed to share a germ group and go ahead and visit. There's just a couple of people that I've agreed to visit with on an ongoing basis. And other than that, I've been all alone. I don't have a dog. I don't have, obviously nobody lives here with me. So it's been very difficult just to keep my brain working right, to have some sense of perspective, some sense of optimism, some feeling that if I sit down and do some work, it will have been work done other than in vain, and it will have been time well spent, and you listening to it will be time well spent. It's really hard for me to feel that right now. I feel very powerless. I know a lot of people who live in the blue states right now are feeling very, very powerless. There seems to be only two reactions going on right now for those of us who do live in states that are dominated by Democrats, as California certainly is. And one is absolute anger, depression, horror, empathy for those who are losing their businesses, or if you are one of those losing your businesses, just an incredible feeling of shocked betrayal that your government would take your business from you by ruining it, would drive you to the point of bankruptcy, and for many beyond the point of bankruptcy. So there's that way of feeling. And then there's the other way of feeling. If these are the people you voted for, you are absolutely supportive of whatever they do, no matter what. And it's angering me a lot. I'm getting very angry at, I'm always referring to my liberal friends, right? Some of you say, don't have any liberal friends. You have to have liberal friends. I forget who it was. One famous philosopher said, if you only know your side, you don't know that very well. If you don't know what the other side thinks, you don't know how to craft an argument. You don't know, because you don't know what their thinking is. You have to tailor your communication to them in a way that encounters what their ideas are. So of course you have to have liberal friends. And if we've seen what happens when liberals initially started rejecting us and acting as if we didn't exist. And you know what happened then. We all felt that there was no representation in government. And eventually, we found Donald Trump to go fight for us. But people have to interact. People must interact. There must be some dialogue at the center between reasonable people of goodwill who see the world in different ways. And I insist upon that. I know a lot of you don't agree with me on this. And a lot of times I'll say something about moderate behavior, or having conversations with the other side, and people say, I'm not talking to anybody. I only talk to conservatives. And I'm telling you, that's not helpful to our cause. If you don't talk to people, and then they don't understand you as human and warm and nice and kind, and then they won't listen to your ideas, because they're getting a cartoon version of your ideas fed to them by MSNBC and the late night shows that, they take a Republican saying something and edit it to make it look stupid, if not evil. So this is what we've been up against all along. We need to start talking across the divide. But I'm finding it very, very difficult to talk to even my closest liberal friends, because they are unquestioningly in the bag for this shutdown, which is costing tens of thousands of people their life's work. I admire small business owners more than anybody else on the planet. I mean, maybe even big business owners. I'm maybe too intimidated even to think what they've done by building a large business. But building a vibrant small business is something that is huge. I admire it so much. I had a micro business, painting houses for 35 years. I did all the work myself. On rare occasions, I would hire a helper to do something, just like if there was some rough scraping that I needed done for a couple of days, I would sometimes do that. But usually I did it all myself. So that's a micro business. I didn't have the worries of payroll, dealing with taxes, dealing with other people, dealing with insurance on other people's welfare. If they were to fall and hurt themselves or whatever, or the damage one of them might do on a property that I would have to then cover. But the worst part, the times that I did have to take on a couple of helpers for a while, the worst part is I laid awake at night worrying about them. Am I going to get this next couple of jobs, or am I going to run into a streak where there won't be work and I'll have to lay these guys off? It's a tremendous responsibility to have a small business and carry it. And every single small business owner that I know, and I know a lot of them, I know a lot of you people that are listening to me now know a lot of them or are small business owners. Every small business owner I've ever known pays the workers before they pay themselves. On a lot of occasions, things get tight. They're the ones that take the hit. It's a very noble thing to provide a good or a service that your fellow society members want, that your fellow citizens want, for a fair price, with quality and a sense of integrity. And the idea that a governmental body would smash these businesses pitilessly has got me angry all the time. And it's very, very difficult to talk to my friends. I'm saying, what are you thinking? Think about what's happening here. What are you thinking? And now the numbers have begun to come out from the states that opened earlier. So we're getting the numbers in from Texas. We're getting the numbers in from Florida and Georgia. And the spike is just simply not happening. Flu season is over. And as I've said many times in the many videos I've made about this topic, Anthony Fauci let it slip when he said, well, I'm actually looking for things to start spiking in the Southern Hemisphere as flu season begins down there. And I'm going, so you're saying this goes with flu season. That means it will end on the flu season schedule. Now, we had a late spring this year all over the country. It was cold. It was snowing in Connecticut, I know, just about 2 weeks ago. They were having snow. I mean, more recent than that, I think, maybe 1 week ago. So it's been a late spring all over. So we could expect that flu season would have been a longer period. Plus, this virus, though flu-like, got to the United States at a later date where it dug in. Another reason it always, dies down is because the herd immunity that develops when the people that get it, they throw it off. Now they're immune to it. And it has its cycle. That cycle is ending. There's no reason to be locked down anymore. And the liberal people I know out here I know in their heart of hearts, they're good people. They have been made to believe that they are making a supreme sacrifice in order to save people's lives. They wake up every morning and huddle in place and put gloves on and masks on and face shields, drive around in their cars wearing face masks. They believe that they are part of of some kind of national effort similar to the one that we hear that our grandparents and parents went through when they fought World War II and even World War I, where everybody knew they had to grow the vegetables in the garden, the victory gardens, they would call them. Everybody knew that certain things would be rationed, that they wouldn't be able to get certain things that were made of metal or certainly certain items that just wouldn't be there anymore because those factories had been turned into making parts for military vehicles and ordnance and things like that. They think that this is that we're doing that. And they look at somebody like me and they go, what a selfish guy. Just because you are tired of hanging out of the house and that your sense of well-being, your sense of community is all destroyed, that's all you talk about. So I always correct them immediately. I'm not worried about me. Yes, I'm depressed and sad because I'm an interactive species. I'm a social animal. I need to have the interaction with people. But I'm depressed and sad and angry about the poor business people. That's what I'm depressed and sad and angry about. There's a great injustice going on, and my liberal friends just willfully will not notice it, will not see it, because they're so attached. They don't. If they did see that now, they're going to feel like monstrous suckers. They're going to know they voted for a party that is, on some level, evil, to be doing this deliberately. It's on some level evil. They're going to know that they supported these people who turned out to be bad people. And they can't face up to that possibility. And they can't face up to the possibility that they will have spent the last 2 months hanging out at home and actively participating in the destruction of an economy for no good reason. Yesterday, I put up a video for a little while. I was getting ready to go and drive up the coast with a friend of mine. I was kind of running around here and doing a few chores. And I listened to this video on in the background, and I thought it was pretty good. So I went ahead and downloaded that video, and I put it together with a little card and a very quick makeshift thumbnail placard. And I put it up. And then I went into the bathroom and I listened to the rest of it actually while I was taking a shower on my Bluetooth speaker. And I thought there was some stuff on there that I didn't feel comfortable with. So I came out and I took it off. And so I know some of you were in the process of sharing it or whatever, or watching it and it disappeared. I apologize for that. I had a lapse of judgment. It was a little too conspiratorial for my taste. When I put something up, I want you to know that I've vetted it, that I've looked at it, and I feel good about it. I'm not a conspiratorial type guy. I know there are some conspiracies going right now, but I didn't resonate with a lot of was being said there. I did resonate with that Irish doctor, Dolores Cahill. I did resonate with her idea how to build the immune system. I know what she was talking was all true. But she got a little conspiratorial toward the end. There was a little bit of a manic quality going on there, and I thought there's a little bit something else here that isn't quite well figured out on her part, and I don't want to be putting it out there. So I canceled that, and I apologize for doing that and giving you guys a half of a video or whatever. And then I know a lot of you worry about YouTube shutting us down, so a lot of you are thinking that YouTube shut you. And I got a number of emails from people saying you got shut down, and so I wrote back and said no, I took that down. Anyway, I apologize for that. I'm interested in how you guys are doing, and I'm especially interested to hear from some of you who are in red states with significant populations, like Florida, Texas, where it's going really well, and how you got there, and how you're coping, and is your economy popping back? Does it look like it's going to be okay for you? I'd be interested in hearing some of that in the comments. I'm happy that some of you guys went and got a black market haircut by using my guy Carlos, who I heard about it when I was at a protest rally. A number of you have written to me, and I've sent you his information. So I hope that you got over there and got your haircut. What else do I want to talk about? Gavin Newsom came out yesterday, and he said we now have a $54 billion deficit in California. And just before this all started, he was bragging about how we had now a balanced budget. And now we have $54 billion. He says it is entirely due to COVID-19. If it's due to COVID-19, it's not due to the virus. The virus didn't run up the spending with no taxes coming in. It was the shutdown that did this. So, I mean, lie number one. But $54 billion in this period of time, that's about $1 billion a day that he's adding to the deficit. And there is only one way to dig out of that. And of course, he's going to raise our taxes. And that's going to cause more businesses to collapse. That's going to cause rents to go up. It's going to cause all kinds of things. This is a clusterfuck stacked upon a whole bunch more clusterfucks that give birth to dozens and dozens of little clusterfucks. And it is really a serious assault on the American people, and you can see why I don't want to make videos every day, because I'm just furious about this. But when it comes to that woman from Dolores Cahill, her and the other one that was in that video that was kind of moody looking, and there was a lot of exterior shots and like walking down a hallway. It was almost cinematic looking. Another doctor in her late 50s, probably, with blonde hair. You know who I'm talking about. I can't pull her name up in my mind. I felt something wasn't quite right about her story either. There's something about it that was a little bit wrong. The way she was rattling off certain things, just to me, my bullshit alarm was going off slightly with her. So I stayed out of that one as well. But I do want to recommend Newt Witkowski. Now, I'm not sure where he's from. He speaks with a sort of German accent, and he's been at several good colleges, and this guy knows his stuff. Johan Gaisecki, he's the Swedish dude. So I'm going to do a little video where I have him in it, I think. I think he really is an important guy, because Sweden did not shut down, and now Sweden is pretty much past their problem. They did have some deaths. They knew they would. But they're smart enough and strong enough people that they realized, yes, the shutdown of an economy, the ruining of all these businesses would be of greater harm than that some already ill people who are already old might pass away. And some did. In Sweden, they happen to have large retirement homes. They go to a very large model of retirement homes. So fully half of the deaths have been in these retirement homes. These are nursing facilities, these full-time care places. And it was no different in Sweden. And they lost a lot of people there. But the Swedish people decided it was more important that they maintain their freedoms and that they be able to live their lives and that people be able to earn a living. And that's very admirable. I have a lot of good feeling about Swedes. I think one of the reasons they've been able to do this sort of large amount of social programs there is because they have a culture where they don't support the idea of taking charity. It goes way back in the Scandinavian culture that you don't take something that you can earn yourself. So it's more safe to have somewhat of a socialized safety net, a greater safety net, if you know that culturally the people won't take advantage of it. In the United States, we got a lot of people that will take advantage of it. We got people from all different cultures. They've come here and their cultural heritages have become rather wobbly. Their value systems are a little up in the air. And there's always going to be some people who will take advantage of everything. So it doesn't work as well here. Of course, Sweden has 10 million people, and we have 35 times that or 32 times that. So Johan Gaisecki is his name, and I will post something that uses some of his thinking in there and some video clips of him. I guess that's really all I wanted to say. I just wanted to touch base and let you know I'm still out here. I'm not going to go get drunk. I'm not going to have any outbursts of violence where I go postal and you read about it in the paper. Ooh, is that the guy from Blue Collar Logic? Oy. I'm hanging in there. I'm doing the best I can. And there are things that I can do like what I did yesterday, which is I went and picked up my friend, and she doesn't get out very much. She works at nights in a hospital, and she only has a couple of days off a week. She was one of the first people that let me know how empty the hospitals were, and started telling me how very strange it was at the hospitals. And I later got that same story from a lot of registered nurses that I was hearing from, people who are working in these hospitals. But she went through cancer a couple of years ago, stage 4 throat cancer, and I went through it with her as her friend. I had the flexibility in my schedule at the time. I was still painting full time at the time, and I managed to take her through all but a couple of her treatments. And so we became very close friends. We see eye to eye politically. She's a Scotsman. She's from Scotland originally and has a very no BS attitude. So I went and picked her up, and we drove out to the beach, listening to some Motown greatest hits on full volume in the van. And we get out to the ocean, and we pulled the windows down and drove up the coast, went all the way up to Zuma Beach, which is the upper end of Malibu for those who don't know, and went for a nice walk on the sand. And we ignored the signs telling us that we must wear our masks even on the beach unless we're in the water. They'll let you swim without a mask. And we ignored those. And the bathrooms are open, the parking lots are all closed, but there's parking on the highway for anybody that wants to head up to Zuma Beach for a sunset some night. It's the best damn thing. I felt good. We had a lot of laughs. And I thought, okay, I'm cured of my depression for a while. And I woke up this morning, and it's the same world, and the problems are the same, and the same injustice is still being done to very good, hardworking people who did nothing to ruin their businesses, who learned and worked hard and did all the right things, and they're having their livelihoods taken away from them and ruined. And family businesses. I mean, that's the thing. That's the American ideal, is that people make something and are industrious and work hard and create something that feeds their family and puts their kids through college so that everyone can have a better life than they started out with. And these fucking Democrats are doing they're just doing these people in, and it's making me sick. And I'm so angry all the time. So I won't go on any further than that. I appreciate you guys being out there. I appreciate that you've given me the opportunity to write something and read it to you guys. And have a feeling that in some way I'm connecting with your lives all over the country. I take that seriously. So I don't want to just, here's my timer. I don't want to just phone it in. I don't want to just phone it in. So I've got a lot of stuff that I've written, and I'll try to, rebuild my mood enough in the next few days that I can be productive again. So anyway, I just wanted to say thanks to you all, and I'm going to shut this off and hope to hell that this recorded. Okay, talk to you later.